Everyone. So as mentioned in my preface to the writing process chapter reading, we have a paper coming up in a few weeks that is a descriptive paper focusing on who we are as readers and writers. That means that over the next few weeks we will be thinking about descriptive writing, both as we find it in fiction and nonfiction. In this short video, I want to give you a brief introduction to descriptive writing, as well as some ideas of what your annotation should look like as you read something specifically with an eye for description. So to start off, what is descriptive writing? Descriptive writing might be thought of in two different ways. In this class, I am going to ask you to write a descriptive essay specifically describing yourself. This kind of essay fits within the idea of description as a genre, or as a type of essay that's specifically concerned with describing a person, place, thing, or idea. A biography, for example, is an example of descriptive writing because it describes a person. But description also exists as a tool that can be helpful in any kind of writing you do. You might be writing a narrative, but describing the landscape in which the narrative takes place, and doing that can help your story come to life. You could be writing a scientific report where a good visual description of an animal or plant could be very helpful to your reader. Just this morning, I was reading an interview in the Hollywood Reporter that they did with Will Arnett a few years ago, and the story wasn't just dialogue. It also had sections that described body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. And as a fan of some of Will Arnett's work and a frequent listener to his podcasts, the descriptive passages helped me picture the interview happening and feel like I was a part of the conversation. So the goal of this video isn't to comprehensively explain everything there is to know about description. We'll be spending several weeks thinking about it, but to lay out a few characteristics of good descriptive writing and a few ideas of where you might find yourself working descriptive writing into your own writing. So to start off, what makes good descriptive writing good? Let's compare two samples. After I've read both, feel free to pause this video and think about one does better than the other. So first, it was a hot day. Em was tired. They had just gotten off of work and were not looking forward to the party at John's house that night. John had a lot of friends and his parties tended to be crowded and loud. Next I've got Em's skin radiated heat and their eyes squinted as they stepped out of the diner and into the parking lot. It was only 2 o'clock, but they were already dreading the party John was hosting that night. John was nice enough. His permanent smile and quick laugh meant that people felt easy around him, and he quickly made friends. The downside, though, at least as Em was concerned, was that tonight's party would mean they'd be squeezing between sweating, dancing bodies and straining their voice just to have a conversation. So I noticed a few things that make the second example better. Yes, it's longer, but what it does with all those extra words is important. First of all, it engages the five senses. Phrases like skin radiating and straining their voice invoke the sense of feeling. Eye squinting invokes sight, and quick laugh invokes hearing. Second, I'm going to jump forward here. So engages the five senses. Secondly, this passage shows rather than tells. Instead of just telling me that it's hot, it shows me what the experience of hotness feels like to the main character. Crowded becomes squeezing between the sweating, dancing bodies. This passage also uses unique details like the fact that Emma works in a diner and gives us more of a sense of setting by telling us about the parking lot. Finally, it avoids cliché metaphors and phrases. Sure, the passage could say that it was hot as hell, that John's laughter was bubbly, or that people at the party were packed into the apartment like sardines. Instead, though, it comes up with phrases that hopefully feel less predictable and therefore create a stronger picture. So the passage is an example of how you might use description while writing a story, but description can be helpful in many places. Whenever you're writing about a person, place, or thing especially, brief or extended moments of description can help connect your reader to your subject. Professional journalists will often focus on description in their introductions, especially in order to paint a picture and capture their reader's interest. They might also lean a bit heavier on description in the first few sentences of a paragraph for the same reason. So I hope that becomes clear to you over the next few weeks that annotation is a tool that can adapt with your reading material. Today I'm going to ask you to read a short passage. I would like you to use all of the annotating tools you already have, looking for key points, definitions, prediction, questions, answers, and context. I am also going to ask you to add a seventh kind of annotation though, description. When you find a particularly good moment of description, please highlight it and preface your annotation with DSC. Then type what about it makes it good description. Does it tap into the sense of smell? Does it find an especially unique and not cliché way to describe something? Do you think it does an especially good job of showing and not telling? I look forward to reading your annotations, and I look forward to continuing to think about description with you. As always, reach out if you have questions. Thanks!